This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
I want everyone on my team to feel the power of doing the work, making things that are impactful for the business and impactful for the brand. If you're not putting stuff out there and seeing how people react to it, then what are we doing? Like, sometimes you make mistakes and other times it's glorious.
So let me get this straight now. You've been doing this for 20 years.
This is the first question that we're going to have together?
Yeah, we're right out of the gate, man. I mean, you've done some cool shit. I like that I know you from a last life, and then I got to see you kind of in that middle purgatory arena, which is probably really annoying when you're like, what should I do next? What am I going to do next? And now here you are making cool shit again in your new life. How are you doing? Like, when you think about the rock skipping across the pond, are you liking where the rock is going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The best part about a professional career is that as long as you feel like you're moving forward and you're focused on the work, then good things are going to come, and they come along the way no matter where you are. So I'm super pumped to be at Autodesk. Like, what we get to do here is really amazing. And I think the opportunity with the company and to build a brand is right in front of me. And the customer base is super special with what they do with our software. So yeah, very excited. We knew each other from the Peloton days.
Yeah. Which could be, that, by the way, this podcast, Peloton's been very good to this podcast. Like, we met from that. Mad shout out to Jason Harris from Mechanism, because I think he brought us together. He's probably going to get pissed that he's like, why wasn't I invited to come back on the show? Okay, Jay, we will get you back on the show. He says, he hasn't invited me on his podcast.
Yeah. He had me on the cast.
I'm going to pause this right now and call him and be like, why haven't I been invited on the podcast? But then Emma Lovewell has been on the show, and what's funny is Hannah Corbin has a book coming out right now, and so she's going to be coming on the show. So Peloton's been you guys have been very good to me, but I like that you and I stayed in touch, and it was like, oh yeah, like we're kind of like similar. There's something about the work that, although I think I read somewhere you're like, I'm the original brand side trader. Dun, dun, dun. All right,
you gotta be dramatic when you're writing about yourself. You know what I mean?
So for people that don't know, let's give them sort of your history of being a trader to where you were before all that.
Yeah. So the shtick is, for the majority of my career, I've been on the brand side, and I came up as a creative person, designer by trade, and then obviously started to open up that aperture of what I would do within that skill set. So art direction, I'm not too bad at writing. So you become a designer, do a little bit.
It's a great t-shirt. I'm not too bad at writing. It feels like a great t-shirt.
You open up the aperture of what you're capable of. And when your ambitions meet your talents, you get to do lots of cool stuff. So, I've been able to work at some interesting brands. I was head of creative at Barnes & Noble for a number of years, and worked in all their digital offering plus their physical spaces, which I loved, as well as their, I kind of date myself with this one, but like digital reading with their Nook devices, which was a Kindle competitor. Back in those days, Amazon and Barnes & Noble were actually like in a bit of a heated battle, if you can believe it. And now those are great times. I mean, those are periods of my professional career where I really learned how much I love product design and how much I love launching products into the market, and then seeing what customers think of them and like getting feedback and, launching a product and then ending the life of a product. Like, every part of that journey as a marketer, I've just always enjoyed. And then it's gone on to, I got like this mix of big brand and then startup world. So you go from Barnes and Noble to a company like Savant, which is Internet of Things. So, like a Tom Brady has it in his house. Bono has it in his castle. Press one button and all the things, your lighting.
It couldn't have been called Internet of Things back then, though, right?
No, it's right on the cusp of, IoT.
Yeah.
But prior to that, yeah, you're right. These were all custom installs.
Yeah.
It was all wired. So you press a button, but that was all wired throughout your entire house to be able to control your music and climate. And then, with the advent of connecting those devices via your Wi-Fi, unlocks all different types of experiences. So I love that too. We had a little studio down in Soho, which was a blast. You had to hire.
Nice.
Let's see how that goes. And then I went to Peloton. I was at Peloton for 6 years. So, I liken it to like within 6 years of time, probably equaled about 15 years in a person's professional journey. But I loved it at Peloton. You go from startup to building a company towards an IPO, you go public, you're traversing that landscape. And then, the pandemic hits us and Peloton blows up as a brand and as a product being sold into the market, which was, wild, completely wild ride. And then you kind of come on the other side of that too, where, there's transitions and changes and you have to make your own professional choices on, how much you want to stay at some place for. But my time at Peloton was amazing. Like to build a brand with that core team from the early days and then, makes something that was part of culture and respond in real time to culture to, how we put things in the market was unbelievable. That's where Jason obviously worked. He and I met one another and our teams worked together in addition to all the other teams that were at Peloton, which were fun. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I did the big company thing and now I want to go back and investigate my kind of startup roots again. So I joined a company called Phi. You're like, this is when you and I are talking all the time. Like, what are you up to, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. You good? You liking it?
Yeah. And you know what? Phi is amazing. It's one of those companies, Series B, the same type of tech as like your Apple Watch or Fitbit or a Ring or Whoop, but it's for your dog. And the world loves their dogs right now. More people are having their getting dogs as dog parents than they are having children. There's like that chart that is showing like where that crossover is. And that was fun. You're building a brand from like super early days and working on the product and living the product. I'm a huge believer that you have to, eat your own dog food, so to speak. You have to love.
Nice pun there. Thank you for doing that.
Well timed. You have to love the brand and the product that you're working on. Because that's when you get the best work. You get the best out of you as a creative and marketer, and you're able to support and push your team to do the best work that they can do when you really love the thing that you're working on. So now I'm at Autodesk. It went from Phi to Autodesk, which I think it's just a tremendous opportunity for a brand or a creative person.
Totally.
Large legacy brand's been around for 40 years, has always made incredible product, has a customer base that is just all inventors and creatives. If you think about like, your podcast, like it's all about courage, right? To come up with the idea to then begin to shape it, build it, what does it mean? And then go through all the like trials and tribulations of iteration. It's just super interesting. It's human ingenuity that we give people the capability to work through. So I'm having fun. Yeah.
What a ride. It's cool because like there's about 4 or 5 times I almost interrupted you, and I'm glad I didn't, because I like when you hear the arc, and it's almost crazy to think that in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you could succinctly get it down to that. But if you unpack it, like you talk about your start at Barnes and Noble, right? And Nook, right? And
Yeah.
really that was the big, everything sort of adds up. It all makes sense that
Oh yeah.
you're now at Autodesk, but I get it. Like you like startups, you like being at the cusp of culture and like rocket shipping them into spaces. You like, now you have this colossal legacy brand that's not acting like a legacy brand anymore. I think I just saw the whole make anything camp. I'm assuming you're a part of that. Sure feels like you were a part of that, although you would never, be a me guy. I know you're a we guy, but it was cool to sort of see that come out and get going. As you've gone through these stages, and I'm gonna go here more for the audience to think through, like when you're in it, you're just in it. You're in the different stages, like the Barnes and Noble stage, we'll call it. However you landed there, I was probably, again, I know too much about you too, so keep me honest when I'm right or when I'm wrong. Like that was before family probably and kids. You had all day to learn. You had all day to be there for the entire marketing life cycle because you're like, I have to figure this out. I've got to stay competitive and it's fun. I mean, was that like, how much of your time went to Barnes and Noble, went to working back then?
Oh, 100%. Always. I mean, I'm out when I mentioned before that you have to love what you do. Like when that's like, when you go to a place that is what is happening, then work is not work anymore, right? It's what you think about. It's what you obsess about. It's what you want to do. It's, some people might not agree with me, but it's like, it replaces a hobby for me because I just want to figure out the problem all the time. And I just really love to figure out the problem that I'm working on. And, just the opportunity to do that, these companies has been so much fun. Like if you actually look at my career, so early days was my first like brand side job was at a company called Index Stock Imagery. And that was also a startup. And probably the first place I learned to love being on the brand side because I had to do all these different things. I had to be the brand guy, do the logos, do the website, the commerce, do installations, and anything that was in communication front, I was in charge of.
What I love about your career is it's like, it is a love story. Like I know how much you love your dog. I remember all those calls with you and your dog, right? Like I felt like we like, so that's a love story. And then I know Peloton was a love story, right? I mean, and you got to like be on the cusp of culture. So the flip of that is like, yeah, those few moments where you were on the sideline where you weren't working.
Yeah.
Did you just hate it? Did you just could you find joy in those moments to be like there for your family, or you found there for your dog, or were you like, I'm parked on the sideline, like I want to get back in. Like how fast can I get back in? And was that hard?
Yes, it was hard. Coming out of like, you're always going to then not going. Because I was like deliberately like, I'm going to take a break. Yeah, hard. Like you're so used to that rhythm of being a maker that when you're not actively making on the things that you are working, the brand that you work in, it's definitely an adjustment. Now, with that said, it probably took me about 2 or 3 weeks to kind of decompress from, being so focused on work. And in that time period, I actually took my son Cooper to New Orleans, went away, like anything to kind of break my thought pattern and begin to like, okay, cool. Like I got to make sure that I'm focusing on family, which I did. And like, I love being with my boys. Like Cooper's 17, Max is 14. My wife, Lisa, they're all grown now since, the years ago. Yeah, I like giving them the attention, and I like being around them as much as possible. I think the way that someone like you and I work is we try to integrate our work life into our home life. And some people don't agree with that either, but it's the only way I've ever found where I could make sure I can be present for both. In a way that like You're blocking a little bit of time for work when you need it, but then you could be at the baseball game. You could be at the crew race. You could be part of these things that are just super important to your family because you don't want to lose touch with, what
Culture.
is important. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is like, as you were sharing this, I couldn't help but be like, oh, New Orleans, like the perfect city to go be inspired as a creative, right? Like it's the food and the flavor. New Orleans is the most flavorful city in the country. I'd put that up against, like, I'd put New Orleans up against any city. It's just like, yeah, you can't not have a good time down there, right? So
Oh, and the art scene's amazing too.
when you're down there, so you can't help but be inspired. You're like, oh, stay in dad mode, or you're like, oh, I'm just inspired by that, and like it's all of the above. I'm curious, as you took on this new role, let's say you are in a city and you were between. Let's say you were in New Orleans on a family trip, and you're with your family, but like they go to bed at whatever time they go to bed. Or like, the 17-year-old at some point wants to hang out with 17-year-old friends or whatever they're going to do. So when you're out and about, what's your criteria? Like, what was your criteria for this new? Like, how did you know to say yes to this opportunity?
At Autodesk?
Yes.
Yeah. The first filter is always, can I love the brand? Can I love the products? I think that's always been my first kind of gauge. If yes, then it's okay, what's the opportunity? And that opportunity at each place is very different. At Autodesk, it's being able to build a brand, kind of reveal, this incredible brand that's been hidden in many ways for so many years. So then it's like, what is that canvas that I'm going to play in? Like, can I really be a creative person? Can I really build and be a brand marketer? Like, I'm also a strong believer that all the places that you go to work and the products that you're working on should feel like you're leaving a bit of like legacy. There's an artifact of what you have done in your career that could be pointed to. And, one of those, like we've already talked about, like a Barnes and Noble, like I can always point to that. And my sons can understand that. Like, I work so hard, they know that, oh, dad did connected fitness at Peloton.
So
So
cool.
there's a legacy to our professional careers that, I think we all should want that. We should all want to leave something behind that someone can point to and be like, oh yeah, my dad did that, or my brother did that, or, my husband did that, or wife.
I mean, we're eerily similar, like living parallel lives. Mine just happens to be courage, right? And you're like, yours. I think yours is even more integrated in the fabric of reality of life. Like you can't not run by a Barnes and Noble or see a Peloton. And I'm sure this is the goal at Autodesk now. But like for me, I think my kids are picking up on what I'm putting down when I'm not around, right? Like I'm on a mission to help leaders be more courageous. I want teams to be more courageous. What's the courageous conversation we're not having that we should have? What's the courageous idea? I mean, the more I do this, the more I realize I'm Bubba Gump and Forrest Gump. Like there's all this way that shrimp Creole, shrimp burger, like it's basically that for courage. It's like courageous ideas, courageous decisions, courageous conversations, like which, where do you need courage the most? And that's where we're going to swoop in and we're going to start there and then work your way through the spectrum. And there's joy. I can't not design a life where I'm not doing something that it's not real to me. I'm not passionate about. I still love brand. I still love courageous ideas. So let's say we take the time machine ride 1,000 days into the future. And actually, you know what? Quick sidebar, because I always blow this. You're in Boston, right?
No,
You're in New York still.
I'm in Hoboken.
Jeez, I always
Hoboken, New
blow that.
Jersey. Right across from Manhattan. Best view of the city is from Hoboken.
But your sports teams, your baseball team is.
Oh yeah, it's all Boston. Like
Okay,
DNA.
that's why I blew it.
DNA. Like anyone that's watching this is from Boston. If I were to say, like now I like the Yankees, like there'd be so much hate within your comments. But now they know that Sox, Sox, Pats, Celtics.
You said Yanks. You said Yanks. You slipped them in there. Listen, you're the original brand side trader. You said it yourself. Who's your baseball team? No, I'm kidding. I know it's a tough look. We're both in mourning as a Padres fan. I'm in mourning. You're in mourning. We'll leave it at that. All right. So, okay, we take the time machine ride 1,000 days from now, right? You're on this path already with Autodesk. Legacy-wise, and again, let's say you're there for 10 years. Great. Awesome. But you're on your way, right? What's changed?
People will recognize Autodesk as like being part of culture, but there's momentum to it. Like the unexpected places that Autodesk can show up, and in the back of people's heads when they're walking around, what is that Autodesk? Well, I know Autodesk. Or if it's a customer, they're like, yeah, I'm part of Autodesk. I use that software. Like when you get to that word of mouth flywheel, you're activating the brand in all of these different places. That's what I'd love to see, the momentum happening, in that time frame. Like if you look at a year from now, I come back on here a year from now, like, B, what'd you do? And I'll list 15 things that we had done, right? But what will get me really excited is if there's like a buzz around the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people know what you all do. Like, and I think that's the opportunity, right? Like, and just to be clear, if you haven't looked up Autodesk, it's a software tool that helps people design and build stuff. Like, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Like everything from, I don't know if this is how you would describe it, but like buildings and bridges and cars and movies and video games. It's a software company that builds tools to design anything and everything. And I liked your new Make Anything. And you kind of already teased that. You can't help yourself a little bit. Like you talk about yourself being a maker, like it is for you, right? Like makers welcome, right? Like it's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that ended up being at the front of what made me attracted to the company and the brand is the people that use the software are creators, right? They're innovators. To your point of what you just said, everything around us, it could be made with Autodesk software. It is the Freedom Tower. It is, the restoration of Notre Dame, right? I mean, that's insane to think that the impact this company has on something so historical with Notre Dame. It's all of those movies, right? It's all those big blockbuster movies that have animations in 3D, like all the things that we love and know around us. This company has helped to support and propel into the creation process, and it's from beginning to end. So it's design and make, which is super cool.
Yeah, I have to be careful not to fall into the slippery slope of a brainstorm session with you, because I'm getting geeked by the opportunity of, like, you're right. Like you said at the beginning, like courage is sort of I've always said courage is a journey word. Like courage is not, I think because of movies and the news, courage gets looked at as like a cherry on top that comes at the end. No, it's at the beginning. It's at the beginning. Like,
I totally agree.
You know something, you feel something, you're going to leap. You take that, you leap. And then once you've leapt, it's like, well, what am I going to make? So in some ways you can make a case that Autodesk is also very much an act one. So it's not just act one, but like makers welcome. Like, what are you going to create today? Like that is an act one message. It might be really interesting. I got to be careful how it plays an act, right?
100%. Yeah. Like every creative idea requires an ample amount of courage to venture into the idea, to show the idea, to share the idea with others, to get feedback, to just continue the build process and iteration. Like they're kind of twins, like creativity and courage. They're kind of two sides of the same coin. In many ways.
I like that. So you've seen a lot of battles at this point. You've seen a lot of rooms, and it's like the more you do it, right? I'm almost back to the criteria. Like there's like the opportunity for the brand. Like, can I love it? Like you said, but then once you're in there, there's, as a leader, There's courageous leadership up. So you have to manage up on your philosophy, or are we aligned on that philosophy? There's across with your peers that may or may not have gotten brand. And obviously, like, my usual take on this is if somebody hired you, it probably meant that we weren't it wasn't there yet. Like you're being brought into, it's a to be continued story.
Yeah.
There's some work to be done. And then you've got to like create the space for your team, right? So now, so you're working your way up, you're working across with your peers, and then you're creating the conditions for your team, right? Like even the way you had written something on LinkedIn recently, like now we're getting there. Like it felt like you're trying to like, it wasn't end all be all. It was very like, we're like, this team is getting there. We're doing it.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's right. So talk to me about what you look for. And this doesn't have to be specific to Autodesk, but as you try to like go, I know I can do something with this brand in theory, but practicality, like, does the leader allow me? Can I actually do it? So how did you go about knowing these are the right people for me? This is the right leader.
Yeah,
for me?
that's a great question. And I think every time I've joined these brands, one of those big components is like, well, who am I working for? And is that person going to give me the level of ownership that allows me to go on a journey, right? The journey of success and failure and success and leaps and bounds and disasters and all the things. And I think each of those, I've had great leaders. So at Autodesk, it's Dara, and Dara and I worked at Peloton together. So, we know how to work with one another. And many times we could finish each other's sentences, or at least have a thought about, I think I know where she's headed. And that's helpful, and vice versa. She can say like 5 words to me and I'm going to get the direction. And then the affordance to be able to run. Like I love it when people, and Peloton's the same way. So John Foley was the founder. William Lynch was the president. William Lynch was the CEO of Barnes & Noble. These individuals always gave me the latitude to go run and be successful and build. They trusted me with my team and to shape my team in a way that they could be amazing at their craft. When you get that, it's so empowering that you just want to make sure that you're doing that for others. Like John Foley, anyone that is watching this was at Peloton. And I have said this to people on my team too. Like when you join, he would say, I want you to paint your masterpiece here. And there's something incredibly empowering about statements like that you could do for your team, that you could do for others, that allows them to go make big decisions and, be courageous with their curiosity, what they want to do and how they go about doing it. So yeah, a big part of it is joining Autodesk was also like, who do I get to work with? And Dara is one of those individuals for sure would want to come and join up again with. And then meeting the team, like really talented individuals at the executive level, just as talented as you think about the broader population of the teams. The first week I came in, we had essentially an offsite. And I got the
Hey, thanks for that call. That was awesome. I appreciated that. That's nice. Thanks.
Different type of offsite. I was there.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But you just get to see the density of talent within an organization. And at Autodesk, there's people that have been there for a longer period of their professional career, and then you have people that have been there on the what I'd say like the newer side. But the blend of them is, in my 4 months of being here, is really kind of magical, right? So it's a company in transformation. It's always striving for better, and the craft skills that the teams want to embark upon are like at the forefront of their thinking. So yeah, it's been good in that sense.
What percent of your team, if I could have been a fly on the wall at an offsite, and again, this isn't me putting myself where I don't belong, just to be clear. I'm like, what do they want? Like, what do they want? What do you think when you ask them what was missing, like life before you and life after you? Like, is this a place where they can do the best work of their life? Is this a place where do they feel they were empowered to do that before, just never got over the goal line? Do you feel like that's what this team wants? Do they see themselves as makers, right? I mean, if you guys are going to be in the make anything business, they got to be makers themselves. Yes.
I think what they want is what we all want as craft experts, is leadership that lets them excel and gives them the right amount of support to do better. And, I can't speak to the prior regimes of like who was doing what, but I know, my endeavor is to do the best work and to put the best work out there. Like, you always have to show it, right? I'm not big on talking about the work and pitching the work. I do all that stuff, but like, I want to do the work, and I want everyone on my team to feel the power of doing the work and making things that are impactful for the business and impactful for the brand and seeing it out in the world, right? If you're not putting stuff out there and seeing how people react to it, then what are we doing? Like, the whole point is to like build a brand. Sometimes you make mistakes, and other times it's like, it's glorious to see what you can make as like an artist and a craft specialist. So yeah, I think my job, it's one of the things I love the most. You know that about me. I love the team and building the team and like putting them in spots that are going to make them successful, even when they don't even know it. Like, they're like, oh my God, B's putting me here. Like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden they make something that's really great,
So I have two final questions for you, and one's personal and one's professional. The personal one's still related to work, but it's like how I don't want to give it too much away. I want to give you a choose your own adventure on which one do you want first? You want the personal or professional?
Let's go professional first.
Okay. So, and then we'll come back to personal. So this is my favorite question. This really is. I don't think I've asked it much.
You didn't ask this of me before? Okay.
No, I don't know if I've asked this. Probably because I haven't run into. It'll make sense once I ask it, but I love this question in non-podcast form, like when you're catching up with somebody. So here we go. I've now built this big ass question up. Would you rather take a brand that no one knows of and put them on the map, or would you rather take a brand that everybody knows and make people think differently of them?
Wow. So Autodesk doesn't fit in this one. You know that, right?
This is just my question. I'm just thinking about your background in general. And I'm curious what you'd pick. Hey, no one's heard of this brand. You're at a startup and you're like, we're going to put them on the map. Bam. Or Nike, right? Like, everyone knows Nike. So it's hard to change people's perspective of a brand. You think you know the brand, and you could actually successfully get them to think differently about a brand.
Yeah. My drive is to go to places that I can have, I think, maximum impact, in the sense of a bit more of a blank canvas. So it would probably be the former. Like, if you're taking something that is maybe nascent, early stage, or no one knows about it in like a broad awareness state, and I have the ability with my team to expose it to the world in like fun and interesting ways. Like, yeah, I love that. The thing about the established brands, and I'm sure there'll be people who'll be like, you're crazy. But if you go to like one of the larger brands, you're a little bit pocketed into, a look and feel that is so established that you don't have. It's not all the case. You always have.
I'm not totally sold on that, right? Like if you got to work on Netflix as they moved into streaming, right, from DVDs.
Fair. I would. Yeah, that's great opportunity.
I still really love I just think it's so hard to change our minds on something, It's
Right.
like Domino's. I'm not saying Domino's is, it's like shame on me to bring it up to a guy.
Domino's is really good though.
I talk about Domino's all the time, right? Like they used to be the 30 minutes or less company, and now look at them, right? So like I talk about them all the time. Bravo, right? That wasn't a Silicon Valley company, but the position as a tech company happens to sell pizza. Like I think that's Those are cool. Little like that's hard to change people's perception of a brand once you've had an experience with them. So I think they're both equally interesting. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. Just was curious to get your take.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, personal. You ready? Put your seatbelt on.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. No, as you've gone through the last 20 years, 25 years, what do you love most about your approach that's changed today? That when you were like a first time in at Barnes and Noble or early days, whatever it was, even early days at Peloton, to you, the leader now,
Yeah.
whether it's like what's changed in a positive, and also what's one thing you're like, I don't think I'm as good as I was. I could be more patient. What's one place where you feel like you could still like, we get older, we get fickle, we become fickle creatures. I don't know. What's one positive and one opportunity for you?
All right. On the positive evolution front, I'd say over time I've become much more patient. And it probably goes to a little bit of like a belief, like how do I go about work now? And this has been a bit of a journey, but what I've preached to my team as of late, actually, is this idea that as a marketer and a creative, you are in front of people all the time that are judging your work, right? You're getting feedback. You're potentially being told that wasn't the right brief. You should be working up this brief. There's just a level of feedback and scrutiny that in this world of advertising, marketing, creative, can feel difficult for an individual, especially if you're an introvert. Go on the creative side, like you pick the hardest profession for you. Yeah. So I had this little mind shift I do, which is that we get to do this work. Instead of I have to do this work, this idea that, we really get to do it. Like it is a blessing to be able to be a creator and to make decisions and to be able to put decisions in front of people. And I think, my early days were, I had an opinion and I just wanted that to go through. And I felt like I had to do those things, hurdles, to get to the other side. And when you think of it that way, you build up frustrations, right? Someone might have given you feedback you didn't love, or maybe your requirement changed, or you don't have the budget you had before. And it puts you in a mindset of defensiveness as opposed to just being open to, all right, what am I doing? All right, what am I doing now? And there's, when you try to change that headset, everything's kind of a little bit more happy. You know what I mean?
I've heard it before, but not in this framing, and I really like it for our business because also I do think when you're younger, it's such a competitive grind. You're trying to like make your way and show your way, and you're like, I have to get through this round of creative, and it's so subjective, and that's why they picked it. And it's like, wait a minute, no, you're missing. There's almost like a goodness to I get to do, like, and maybe that's also part of it. Like maybe when we were that age and we were starting, there were people that we were reporting into, or the people we were reporting into that they were already there and they were already had to get to, but I wasn't there. I was just trying to make a name for myself as a creative in a gauntlet of competitiveness, which was the world I came from. So I feel that joy that comes with that framing. It's a really nice one. Okay. What about on the other side?
All right. On the other side, I think I kind of sort of. So as you come up, you get a little more detached from the work. That could be your strategy work. It could be brief writing. It could be a campaign or whatever, because you're empowering others. And sometimes when you do that, you feel like you're on the outskirts. And I like to continue to tune my craft, right? And to work with my team, make sure they're doing their thing. But like, is actually coming out of Peloton when I went to Phi. A big part of my endeavor there was to be closer to like the like really close because we were a startup, right? It was a small team. So I had to flex muscles that I wasn't flexing anymore, which I think helped set me up coming into Autodesk. Where like, okay, cool. I got the little bit of my mojo came back, and I just love that. So like it fostered like, a lot of deep thinking around AI and how do we integrate that? How do I integrate it into my life, right? And then how do I integrate it into my team's world so that it's an empowering type of technology and not something that feels like it's taking away from their abilities. In many ways, it should be making them super, right? It should be raising boats. And when you take that headset, it's like you really jump into it. I feel like I'm learning again, and I love that aspect. So like being close to the work is something that I always want to keep doing, and there's just different ways of doing it.
This is almost a slippery slope rabbit hole because I already said 2 questions and we're there. But like, I am curious from an AI standpoint. Like, I agree. I think that we've talked to tears about AI in some ways. But if I'm on your team, how should I be thinking about AI? Give the listener maybe a different perspective on how AI might be able to be applied.
As we think about AI within a marketing and creative world, it should make you into the ultimate tastemaker. We all have these innate skills, right? We've honed these skills in our professional career, right? AI should be an amplifier of that. It should take me and put me at a +10 in my capabilities. So it's less about efficiencies or taking a job away from me. And it's more about how is it expanding me? How is it expanding our team, our team's capabilities, right? If you're a writer, right? A lot of copywriters are afraid of, or scared of, I shouldn't say afraid, a little timid about AI because everyone can write. You can write. But, it's only as good as what you put into it, right? So a craft person understands what can make something really amazing. A designer, an art director, an amazing brand strategist, they know the cues to tell, AI, essentially a prompt, what is going to be great output. The layman person doesn't know that. It can ask AI to write a brief, but to write a really great brief, you need someone to kind of jump in and like shape it to a point that the result, what you get back, is something that maybe was unexpected, right?
Totally.
So I feel like it should be enhancing our ingenuity, right? That's how I would consider it.
I love that framing. And yes, the amount of time, it's almost like creative, like it's the creative director. It's like, it's not hard for a creative director to take a C- and make it a C+. It's hard to take a B+ or an A- and make it an A, right? And so like, I agree with you. Like it starts with what your capability is. And then like, I like your 10X almost, your multiplier. It's a great way to think about it. It's the best ally and assistant if you so choose to use it that way and not be afraid of it. And that's the tool that it is, at least for today, from what I see.
There's always like these milestones of new technologies that hit us, right? Over the past decades, beyond. With AI, it's faster, right? But if you think about it under the kind of, the guise of being courageous, like you're entering into a whole new world. So it's kind of having some courage on the unknown with this technology, but having the faith that if you think about it with the right intentions and that it can help you become stronger, then I feel like you can find the things that you could leverage it in just super interesting ways.
All right, folks, if you're a Boston fan and you live in Hoboken, you got to look up Bryant Brennan. If you're a craftsman, a creative, find my guy. How do you want to take us out? Like, this is a show about courage. I mean, it's a show about fear. There's a lot of fear going on right now in the world. How do you manage that fear? What piece of advice do you have for us on navigating this? I call it a worry war that we're living in, and we are in a worry war. But how do you want to, or not, or go more optimistic? I'm basically handing the mic over to you and how you'd like to wrap our episode.
Yeah, I'd say I'm gonna keep it because I'm on your podcast, bro. I'm gonna keep it to being courageous. You know how we do.
I love it.
I'd say with your teams, the most courageous teams that you can have within your organizations are the ones you lead. They're not individually fearless, right? They are fearless together. So harness the power of your team to solve the problems and support one another to be able to make that decision that feels uncomfortable to get to good work. Because that's all we're trying to do is get to great work.
Beautiful. Bryant Brennan, keep doing what you're doing, man. I love you.
Thanks for having me on the show again.
Keep doing your thing, and then we'll get you back out. We're gonna get you back out here in a couple of years, and we'll see if what that legacy looks like, and we'll keep it rolling. Deal?
Sounds great.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.